Most nights in Thomas Hale's apartment passed in the same quiet rhythm, a rhythm that felt less like peace, and more like a slow fading of a life half-lived. His apartment was small, almost painfully neat. A single lamp spilled warm, tired light across the living room. A clock ticked softly. Outside, wind pressed against the windows like a lonely visitor. Thomas sat alone, staring at nothing, for perhaps staring at the years he had lost. He was a man who once dreamed of a family, but life had drifted away from him, like a boat that had slipped its rope and vanished downstream. He rarely spoke to anyone. He rarely smiled. He existed more than he lived. And on one cold, sleepless night something broke the silence. A phone rang. Not his cell phone, not any modern device, but an old dusty landline phone, a phone he had not used in nearly 10 years. A phone that wasn't even connected to anything. The ring sliced through the quiet like a blade. Sharp. Metallic. Impossible. Thomas stared at it, frozen. The phone rang again. And again. Finally, almost breathless, he lifted the receiver to his ear. "Daddy." A small girl's voice. Fragile. Shaking. Filled with fear. Thomas' heart dropped. I think you have the wrong number," he managed to whisper. But the girl continued, her voice trembling with tears. "Daddy, please don't leave me alone tonight. I'm so scared. Something bad is coming." The line fell silent. Thomas sat motionless for a long time, listening to his own heartbeat fight through the darkness. He didn't sleep that night. The next evening, just past midnight, the phone rang again. Thomas hesitated, then picked up. "Daddy, did you hear the thunder?" The girl's voice quivered. "It's getting closer. Mom says storms can take people away. Are storms real where you are?" Thomas swallowed hard. He didn't know what to say. He didn't understand any of this. He tried to remain calm. "I'm not your father. I don't even know your name." A soft breath came through the speaker, almost a sob. "You sound like him," she whispered. "You sound sad the way he was before he left us." Those words pierced Thomas deeper than he wanted to admit. Because long ago, in a life he tried to bury, he had left someone. A woman who loved him. A life he wasn't ready for. A future he ran away from. Was this some cruel coincidence? A trick? Or a voice from a path he abandoned? Night after night, the calls continued. Sometimes the girl told small memories, how she liked drawing stars, how she wished her father would come home. Sometimes she spoke of shadows in her room, of cold air that drifted through closed windows, of dreams that felt too real. Sometimes she cried softly, and Thomas found himself comforting her with words he never thought he had left. He would sit on the sofa, the darkness around him deep and hushed, listening to her breathing through the static. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel completely alone. Yet fear lived beneath the comfort, a peculiar dread. Because each night, the girl's voice grew weaker, as if she was fading. On the 7th night, the storm outside was violent. Lightning flashed like torn pieces of sky. The wind roared. The phone rang. Thomas grabbed it instantly. The girl whispered, barely audible, "Daddy, I think it's time." His hands trembled. "Time for what?" "To go," she said. "But before I do, I need to tell you something." Thomas leaned forward, breath broken. "You were never meant to save me." Her voice was soft, fading. "I was meant to save you." Thomas felt his chest tighten. The girl continued, "You carry so much regret, so much loneliness. You left someone who needed you, and you never forgave yourself. I came so you would finally understand that you're still allowed to love, to be loved." A long, shaking silence. Then the line went completely dead. Forever. The next morning, the storm clouds had cleared. Soft sunlight touched the room with a gentle warmth Thomas hadn't felt in years. He stood up slowly, and that was when he saw it. A photograph, placed neatly beneath the old telephone. A little girl, smiling faintly, her hair in soft curls, her eyes carrying the same sadness he saw in his own mirror. On the back, written in faded ink, Emily Hale, a 19,942,004. His last name, her first name, a life that might have been. A life he walked away from, or a life that existed in another path, another timeline, another world, a life that called him one last time, not to haunt him, not to break him, but to heal him, because sometimes the universe sends us echoes of the people we were meant to love, echoes of the choices we should have made, echoes that whisper, not to frighten us, but to help us forgive ourselves. And as Thomas pressed the photo to his chest, for the first time in a very long time, he allowed himself to cry, not from fear, not from sorrow, but from finally being found. If this story touched your heart, stay with us. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and support the next story. Sometimes the past calls us not to remind us of pain, but to show us the way home.